Furman Week is here, and the Tigers are looking to clinch bowl eligibility in the month of November for the first time since 2010. This is going to be a fun show tonight. Thank you guys for joining us here on a Wednesday night, different from our usual here on the All In Show. But thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Jordan Bowman. Tiger Paul Craven is here. He will be joining us momentarily. But if you haven't already, please hit that like button. Make sure that you're subscribed. Share this video. Obviously, we are getting ever so close to 6,000 subscribers. So all of those likes and shares and subs are greatly appreciated. Let me give a quick shout out to the comment section. I already got a few of you in here, some more regulars. John, what's up, my man? Good to see you. Our resident moderator, one of our resident moderators, and a channel member, which is denoted by the symbol next to his name, the second symbol, not the wrench. The wrench means he's a moderator. So thank you so much for supporting the channel on a monthly basis. We got KD in here. He gives us a go Tigers. Yes, sir. Good to see you, my man. Michael Forster, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Ominous Beak. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you. But yeah, I don't want to waste any more time. I mean, we got a lot to talk about. It's been an interesting week in the world of college football. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and kind of what some of that news means for Clemson here. And of course, we'll dive on into Furman and the happenings around the Clemson football program. So without further ado, let me bring on my co-host, Tiger Paul Craven, live from the void, otherwise known as his car, because internet service providers suck at what they do. What's up, right, man?
Hey, man, look here. First of all, well. I don't have internet tonight, people. Internet companies, they got one job. I pay them a lot of money, in my opinion, every month to do it, and they can't seem to get it done. They're the 2025 version of Clemson. They just can't get it done. So no, I'm just joking, but no, seriously, I don't have internet, so I'm out here in my car. Reason being, I just get better signal out here. So decided to come out here and do the show with you guys. So I'm excited to be here, ready to talk Furman Week. Jordan, we may become bowl eligible. You know, if we can beat the mighty Furman Paladins. So shout out to Clemson for gaining a postseason bid. Hopefully after Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, a lot to celebrate for. I mean, obviously, this is what we were talking about preseason. Like this is what everything was building up towards. So, I
This is the
mean,
pinnacle, man. This is the
yeah,
pinnacle. This is that game, Jordan. That preseason we circled, and we were like, that's the game that's going to decide whether Clemson goes to the postseason or not. And here we are. You know, we predicted it.
yeah, we did. We nailed this season right on the head, and man,
Hey,
what a
man, we had.
pivotal and program changing season for the Tigers, man.
Oh man. Oh man. It's my how the mighty have fallen. That's the only phrase that comes to mind when I think about the Clemson Tigers in 2025. But you know, it is what it is. You recalibrate your expectations, and that's what we've kind of done. And any win is a good win for the Tigers in 2025. You know, we'll rehash that Louisville win. Was not great, but like I said, any win's a good win for the Tigers. Shout out to all the people in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for being here. Truly do appreciate it. Challenge for you guys: get us to 6,000 subscribers before the clock hits zero on the South Carolina game. That would be greatly appreciated, guys.
Absolutely. But yeah, let's not waste any further time. You know, I wanted to start off the show tonight, just talking a little bit of news, some big news that in the happenings of college football. Obviously, this week, pretty big news for an ACC foe who has been kind of down on their luck for the better part of the last decade, but has made the biggest splash hire of this coaching carousel so far. None other than Virginia Tech going and getting former Penn State head coach James Franklin. I wanted to talk about this because I do think this is a interesting development for Clemson in a lot of ways. Um, and not just Clemson, like the other powers within the ACC. Your Miami, the Florida States. When they're good. The programs that have a lot of buying power, a lot of brand recognition. I think ultimately, like for the sake of the conference, I mean, I think it's a big move. It's bold and it's potentially an opportunity for the ACC to elevate one of its powers that has been kind of stuck in the mud for quite a while. But I do think it's going to be interesting as far as recruiting is concerned. Clemson has certainly gotten their fair share of kids from Virginia in recent years. James Franklin has proven himself to be a very good recruiter, if nothing else. And
Yeah.
I think it's a really really natural fit for Blacksburg. And he already has a lot of ties to the area and a lot of familiarity recruiting that area. And they just recently made a really, really big financial commitment to football. So, I mean, I don't know when you got the news, like what did you think about this hire in terms of like what it means for the conference, for Clemson? Is this going to move the needle? I tend to think it does. It is, but it is also interesting because Clemson does play Virginia Tech next season.
Yeah.
So that'll be we'll get Dabo Swinney versus James Franklin in his first season at Virginia Tech. That'll be a fun one. But yeah, I mean, what were your kind of initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so initial thoughts for me, just from a Virginia Tech standpoint, I thought it was a home run hire. I think it is a home run hire. I think they probably got the right guy in town in Virginia Tech, and for those out there that may think of Virginia Tech a certain way, that's a very proud program with a lot of tradition. They care about football. That's the reason that they've made this move and they've hired James Franklin. And I think, overarching for the ACC and for Clemson, um, Virginia Tech, I think, just became, uh, a scary team. I think in the future, James Franklin is going to turn that program around, and they are going to become one of the contenders in the ACC year in and year out. I truly believe that James Franklin has proven that he's a winner in every stop that he's gone to. Obviously, it didn't work out in Penn State. He could never really win the quote unquote big game. Close to making the national championship last year, but came up a play or two short there. Never really beat the big dogs in the Big Ten. Talking about mainly Ohio State. Um, they essentially, for James Franklin's entire tenure at Penn State, he won every single game he was supposed to, but never could beat the teams that he was an underdog to, and ultimately that's kind of what was his demise at Penn State. And I get it from a Penn State standpoint, but at the end of the day, I think Penn State they might end up regretting moving on from Franklin so quickly. And by quickly, I mean 1 year removed from a college football playoff berth and just this short of a national championship. We'll see who they ultimately end up hiring. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think it worked out beautifully for Virginia Tech. I don't think there was a better hire out there for Virginia Tech, and with his ties to the area and all that kind of stuff, I think sort of a homecoming to him, and I think it's a home run hire for them. It's not great for Clemson because I think Virginia Tech's going to get a whole lot better. You mentioned he's a great recruiter. He's gonna amp up the talent at Virginia Tech. They have a lot of traditions. Inner Sandman. It's a tough place to play, regardless of kind of how good the football team is. But it's going to become a lot harder of a place to play because I believe they're going to get a whole lot better on the football field. And they've made a huge commitment. And yeah, it's going to be they're going to be a contender year in and year out in the ACC in the near future, I believe.
Yeah, I tend to think so too. I mean, and when you talk about the financial investment, I think they said something. I think the number that was given was $229 million put into Virginia Tech. I mean, that is pretty astonishing. A pretty astonishing number. And I think that's for all of athletics. I don't think that's just for it's just for football. But still, I mean, it tells you that they're taking this seriously again. I mean, I definitely feel like there have, at least at Virginia Tech, there's certainly been kind of a lack of emphasis in terms of like the revenue sports. I mean, they've kind of taken a nosedive, whether in basketball and football. And so,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see kind of what that means in the near future for Virginia Tech, and Clemson as far as their recruiting efforts in that area. But I think it's ultimately good for the ACC if you care about that and you care about the conference being, respectable again. That Virginia Tech being good certainly helps a ton. I'm interested to see kind of what the staff looks like for Franklin there. He has a lot of connections, and there's certainly a lot of people he could call up. I'm intrigued to see kind of what his strategy is coming in, but I certainly expect them to be a bigger player on the recruiting trail because I mean, listen, they have not been able to lock down their home state talent. I mean,
For a long time.
for quite some time now. It didn't used to be that way, but it's certainly been that way for the better part of 10, 15 years. I mean, you have programs like Penn State went under James Franklin and Clemson, South Carolina, obviously the Big Ten schools, and the SEC schools are also, go into Virginia and get kids. It's been, pick of the litter really for other programs for a while in that state. But, James Franklin being there certainly, I think could change things a little bit, and they start to keep some of that in-state talent home. I think that's ultimately good for that program. But the funniest thing is that I don't understand these coaches sometimes, because like Penn State was paying James Franklin $49 million not to coach, and now I think they only have to pay him $9 million now that he took another job. But
Right.
if I got paid that much money not to work, you wouldn't see me working. I'd go do something else. But I mean, I guess that, I mean, it does tell you kind of how much these coaches love the game and love coaching. Because
Yeah, they just want to coach ball,
yeah,
and that's very evident, because I mean, you're right. That's a whole lot of money not to work.
yeah,
So you wouldn't have to pay me that much not to work, but these guys love coaching ball, and that's what they want to do. And he moves on and take the job at Virginia Tech, and it's gonna be interesting to watch the trajectory of that program over the next probably 2 to 3 years, and see how quickly he can kind of rebound that, because they are a good brand, and they have probably one of the best environments in college football, as far as home stadium environments, and with his ability to recruit, and the amount of talent that comes out of that state. It's going to be much tougher for Clemson to kind of recruit out of that state now, and I believe he's going to turn it around. I don't think Virginia Tech could have made a better hire than what they just did. And I know all the talk about James Franklin, and a lot of the criticism is deserved about how he can't win the big game, but um, in a place like Virginia Tech, I think they nailed it, man. And with their recommitment to athletics, and kind of the financial commitment that they've made recently, they could become a huge problem in the ACC, particularly for our Tigers. So um, hopefully we can stay ahead, but they will challenge Clemson here in the next 2 to 3 seasons, no doubt about it.
I tend to think so too. You talk about them building up their brand. They're not the only ones. Us here at the Voice of College Football, we are doing that as well. Of course, we've talked about it ad nauseum, those of you that have been listening, but got to bring it up again. The Voice of College Football Network does indeed have its own website. So y'all make sure to come and check it out. That's vocfb.com. It's your one-stop shop for everything Voice of College Football, our shows, our writers, our articles, our posts, anything that you are looking for within the Voice of College Football network is here. And we even have a message board. So y'all make sure to go sign up, make you an account. It's free, doesn't cost you a thing, but it's a great way to get involved with the community. So y'all make sure to go check that out for us. And if you interact with anybody, tell them that us here at the Clemson channel sent you. So y'all make sure to go and do that. But to transition, I kind of want to, wrap up Louisville a little bit, just kind of give our final thoughts. We've talked about this game, in the post-game show. It was certainly a bittersweet type of victory. You watched it and you're happy the team got a win, but you didn't really feel much differently about, the quality of this group, or whether or not this team has really gotten that much better. On the rewatch, there's not really anything that made me feel any differently.
No.
To be completely honest with you, this was just a game where, I mean, you made less mistakes than the other team, and I think that's more than you can say about a lot of games this season. But ultimately, this was not a win that I feel like was a needle mover, or one where it's like, man, now this team is really building some momentum. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they come out these next 2 weeks and just absolutely plaster, both opponents. That'd be great. That'd be a great way to end off this miserable regular season it's been. But I just, the things I've seen, and obviously with some of the recent injuries, I have a hard time believing that that's ultimately what this game meant. But TPC, when you watch this game back, if you had a chance to, I mean, do you have anything that really, stuck out to you that you didn't really notice when we watched it the first time?
Not a whole lot, man. Honestly, going back and looking at parts of the game, some of it was worse than I remember it, honestly. Like, this was one of the ugliest football games that I've seen in quite some time. And, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but, it looked like at various points in time in this game, both teams badly wanted to lose, and the other team just would not take it. And eventually, Clemson ended up making, one or two less mistakes and ultimately ended up winning the game and beating Louisville on a Friday night. But it was a crazy game. Louisville was making, boneheaded penalties in the fourth quarter that were costing them, immensely with field position. The quarterback taking a big sack when you absolutely could not do it. Should have thrown the ball away, but didn't. Ultimately takes the only sack of the game. In the worst possible time you could take it. It just felt like watching this game, it was two teams that looked badly coached, that looked like they were unprepared, and that looked like they frankly didn't want to win the game. And I'm just being completely honest. That's what it looked like. Ultimately, am I happy that Clemson won the game? Yeah, 100%. I'm absolutely happy that Clemson won the game. I'm happy that they were able to pull it out. Um, Ultimately it's good for the Tigers. They get a chance to hopefully, achieve bowl eligibility in the at the end of November here, or the middle of November here, this weekend against Furman, which I believe they will do. But it was an ugly game. It was a game riddled with a lot of mistakes. Um, at times the offense, played well. At times they looked clunky and, out of sync like they have for much of the season. Same thing with the defense. Um, it was just not a clean game, but a game that I'm glad they won. It's tough to go on the road. It's tough to beat a ranked opponent on the road. It's even tougher to do it on a weeknight, a Friday night. That tends to be, you know, the games where the craziest things happen, and that's kind of what happened in this game. It's Clemson's first ranked road win in a long time. So again, I'm happy for it, but there's still a lot that this team is not doing well. And if you're a Clemson fan and you want to be a realist about it, you can't sit here and look at that game and be like, oh, Clemson is just suddenly turning a corner and we've won back-to-back games against teams that we thought, you know, early on when we were losing games that we would probably lose to Florida State and we would probably lose to Louisville. Um, Ultimately, we've beaten both of those teams, but let's not pretend like this team has turned a corner suddenly. I think it's admirable that this team is still fighting. They're clearly not quitting. That is clear. But I still hold true to the fact, Jordan, that this is just not a good football team. They're not quitting. They're continuing to play as hard as they can play. But the fact still remains this is not a good football team. And if you watch this Louisville game back, that's kind of where you'll end up at the end of watching it.
Yep. I mean, you could have just as easily been on the wrong side of this football game. I mean, Louisville outgained you. They were the better team in terms of success rate. They outrushed you. I mean, really, just they weren't able to. They made the more costly mistakes in the key moments, and that was
Yep.
that was kind of the difference in the football game. But
shout out to the Louisville kicking game.
oh
Both
yeah, man,
kickers. Shout out to
both
them.
kickers, man.
2 missed field goals and a missed extra point. There's the
Yep.
difference in the game.
Shout out to the Louisville receiver that decided to throw hands with Corian Gibson in the red zone and kill
Right.
their field position. I don't know, man. That was a shout out to Miller Moss for refusing to throw anything further than 10 yards. So. I mean, listen, it was a game that very much felt it was strange, the contrast between this Louisville team you played than the one you played in Death Valley last year. They looked far less prepared, and I mean, yeah, they didn't have their arguably their best offensive weapon, but I mean, I haven't seen a Jeff Brom team look that poor against at least a team that they actually care about beating. They obviously the Cal game the previous week was an indicator that they're certainly not incapable of playing bad, but I thought, with it being Clemson, I thought they would look a little bit better than that. But hey, listen, you got the win, and that's about all you can. That's about all you can ask for. Obviously, the positives, I think, Adam Randall was your best offensive weapon, ran the ball extremely effectively in this game, had a few explosive runs. Kay Klubnik, I think, honestly, the people are going to talk about the goal line sequence, which was really awful. That was really bad, but I think he made some high level throws in this game. He was making, especially some of those tight window throws. He made a couple of those in that game where that were big on a couple of key drives. It wasn't a fantastic performance by him, but he took care of the football mostly, and I think he's still largely playing okay. I haven't felt like he's been the reason your offense when your offense is bogged down. It hasn't felt like he's the reason. So I guess that's that's positive. That's improvement. I think he's playing okay. I think that's about all I have on offense, and then defensively, you did a good job getting after the quarterback. Still gave up too many. Still gave up some really rough looking runs. Obviously, Keywan Brown kind of just had his way with the second level of Clemson's defense. So that was not fun to watch, but they weren't able to capitalize. So, and you got the stops when you needed them. So, shout out to the defense for, getting those timely stops that many times this year they haven't been able to. So, I don't have any much more to say about this game. Is there anything else you wanted to hit on?
Yeah, that's just kind of it. It was a much needed win for the Tigers. If they wanted to achieve bowl eligibility, which obviously they have one of the longest streaks in college football when it comes to being bowl eligible. So it's good that they have a realistic opportunity to do that. And that's really all this game meant. You've played spoiler to Louisville's season, which is a unique position for Clemson. We haven't had a lot of opportunity to play spoiler, but in 2025, that's kind of all we have. There's no real postseason for us outside of a low level bowl game. So playing spoiler is the best that we can do. Unfortunately, the Gamecocks pissed away an opportunity, and we could have stole bowl eligibility from them. But of course, they took that from us.
Yeah.
We could have beaten South Carolina, won the state championship, and denied them a bowl game. But they can't get out of their own way, much like Clemson can't for most of the season. So here we are. Shout out to the Tigers. I'm glad we won, but it was less than a pretty win. That's for sure. So.
Yep, absolutely. It's certainly not a pretty win. They're certainly not not pretty in terms of the outcomes from this game, other than the final score. Of course, we do have some injury news to talk about in this game that is going to affect this team for the remainder of the season. Braden Jacobs and Walker Parks have both been announced as out for the year. Two of your starters at guard. That's a pretty significant blow for this team. I hate it for Walker Parks because obviously he has no eligibility left. He's been one of the longest tenured Clemson offensive linemen ever in terms of starts and snaps and anything you can name. I mean, he's definitely going to be in the history books. And hate it for him, that his last year has kind of played out this way, and it's ended the way it has. But that's the sport, and obviously with his extensive injury history, this was a possibility. But it's a miracle he was even playing football. But I hate it for him. But I'm thankful for everything that he gave. He literally put his body on the line for this university and for this football program. So Walker Parks, one of the best that you could ask for from that perspective. So best of luck to him. when he graduates, well, he's already graduated, but when he ultimately leaves and moves on, and but yeah, I hate that this is how it ended, but happy that he got to play football and play the sport that he loves for longer than any of us thought he would just a couple of years ago. So yeah, that kind of somber, but it is what it is. This is the nature of the sport sometimes.
Yeah, man, this is college football. Tough blow for the Tigers. You lose both of your, basically your starting right and left guard, out for the season. Walker Parks, man, I hate it for that guy. He's done so much for this university. He's done so much for this team. He's put his body on the line. He's put his ankle on the line. This man's had countless surgeries, and it just sucks that his last hurrah, if you will, ended this way, with him going out with injury. I hate it for him, but I'm glad that we had a guy like Walker Parks along this offensive line, and if you know him, that he'll be out there coaching up those guys and
Oh yeah.
trying to get them ready to go out there and play just as well as he would have went out there and played, and that's why he's special. So shout out to Walker Parks. We're gonna miss him when he's gone. We felt his absence over his various injury stints since he's been at Clemson. He is a presence when he's there and healthy enough to play on the offensive line, particularly at the right guard position. But we're not going to have him, and he'll take on that coaching role, and he'll be a good teammate. And shout out to him, and I hope that he gets the honor that he deserves this weekend for senior day. And then Braden Jacobs, what a freak accident, man. Like, after the ball game is over, the ball game is won, he's celebrating with his teammates, jumps up, lands wrong on his foot, and he's now out for the rest of the season. What a freak accident. What a crazy injury. Sucks that we're losing him. You ask where the offensive line is going to be from here. Obviously, you got your three guys that have started majority of the season there, and then Harris Sewell will step in, and Colin Sadler will step in at both guard positions. So those will be the two guys that roll in first. Luckily, Clemson has those two guys that have started quite a bit. Colin Sadler coming back from injury, so hopefully he's feeling much better. And is 100% healthy and able to full go. You don't. It's obviously these two are big losses for the offensive line, but you're fortunate to have guys like Harris Sewell and Colin Sadler to roll in there who have played meaningful snaps for the Tigers this season. I don't think it's going to show up against Furman, so hopefully we can get a best five solidified before rolling into Columbia for the final game of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it does give you the opportunity to see some of the depth that you're going to be working with next season, if anything.
Yep.
And obviously, if you were going to have that injury, I guess this is the time to do it.
Right.
I mean,
it's a perfect time to get some younger guys in there. Ronan O'Connell, we've seen him a couple times this year. He's flashed on tape. That dude is nasty.
Yeah.
He likes to get after people. He likes to put people on their back. So I like to see him out there. Harris Sewell, obviously, I've already mentioned, and then Colin Sadler will obviously be out there as well. You're still missing Elijah Thurman. You're missing Braden Jacobs now. You're missing Walker Parks. This has been an offensive line that's had quite a bit of injuries this year. So, but you're going to see that young depth, and you're going to see what you got for next year, which is going to be super important heading into spring.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm interested to see kind of what kind of offensive line rotations we see this weekend. This is going to be the opportunity. I mean, you're going to see, obviously, with the new red shirt rule. I mean, I think you'll see even more guys. Another guy I'm really interested to see that they've given a lot of praise is Gavin Blanchard.
Blanchard, yep.
Hope to see him at times. Who, if you guys remember our talks with Grayson Mann prior to the season, he was one that he was very, very high on early on, and obviously the staff feels the same way. So I want to see what he looks like as a true freshman. See where he is and how ready he could potentially be to play. Here going forward. And yeah, I mean, just seeing some of these younger guys. Your Mason Wades. Watson Youngs. Yeah, like where are these guys as far as their development and do we truly have a strong core of young guys for the future, or is it just a bunch of bodies? Because ultimately we don't know until we see them play, and this will be a good test. And Furman actually has some disruptors on the defensive line that I think could test this group a little bit, and we'll talk about that. But hate it for, like I said, hate it for Jacobs, hate it for Parks, and yeah, that's not an ideal development for this offensive line that's already had multiple injuries throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be, a big question mark moving forward. And honestly, it's, maybe it'll be a blessing in disguise for the Tigers because you'll get to see a lot of these young players come play over the next 2 weeks and into the bowl game as we prepare for, whatever bowl game Clemson gets selected for. But you'll get a good picture of what you have returning for next season, which will give the coaching staff a direction on, do they need to go pick up an offensive lineman or two in the transfer portal this cycle in order to bridge the gap between some of those younger guys and the guys that are going to be leaving at the end of the season.
Yep, absolutely. But we'll kind of leave it at that. Obviously we wouldn't be talking about Clemson football if we weren't talking about injuries, because that's just been the name of the game with this program for the better part of 3-4 years. Offensive line injuries, never ending. So you hate it, but hopefully especially in Braden Jacobs' case, you got to see a lot of him, and you saw a lot of good, and you don't want to you want him to rehab this injury properly and get back to full go. And the good news is that it seems like he will be on track to be back by the time spring ball rolls around. So you won't be missing too many reps from that perspective. So I mean, obviously not great developments for the Tigers, but this Saturday we'll get to see some of the younger guys, and we'll certainly have our thoughts on that in the post game. But we'll go ahead and leave it at that. I mean, do you want to talk about Furman now, or actually, I don't think I did the read for for our merch, but
there you go.
I'll go ahead. Let's go ahead and knock that out real quick. While I get it up on the screen, John says, yeah, maybe Sadler and Sewell will do better if the offensive coordinator continues to call fewer pulls. Yeah, I mean,
look, in my opinion, just to kind of answer this, not question, but comment, Clemson does a whole lot better when they're doing zone run schemes. We've seen it, kind of going back a few years to the Notre Dame game when they kind of reverted back to a lot of the zone concepts that Clemson's really comfortable with. The offensive linemen are just much better in run blocking when it comes to that. The counters and the pulls and the stuff that Garrett Riley likes to do. It doesn't seem, and this is just my opinion, outsider looking in, it doesn't seem to mesh with, one, the offensive lineman that we have, and two, with kind of how our offensive line coaches his players, right? I feel like there's a disconnect there. And that's kind of just my opinion outside looking in. I feel like there's a disconnect between Garrett Riley and Matt Luke on, how the offensive line, kind of does stuff. And I feel like Clemson would be much better with a kind of a zone scheme when it comes to running the football. And we'll see in the offseason if we can get that done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talk about there being a disconnect between coach and players and scheme. Much like there's also a disconnect between you and your Wi-Fi, there is no disconnect between the voice of college football and some pretty sick merch. You see how I tied it all together?
I like that. I like that.
That's professional ad read right there.
I see what you did there. I see what you did.
Yeah. If you want to go and get you the best merch here on the internet, bar none. I mean, just look at it. Go to Voice of College Football shop.fourthwall.com/collections/Clemson. The link is, well, actually, let me put it up for you guys, but it's also in the description. As you can see, we got the best Voice of College Football merch that you can get. I think, in my opinion, we have sites for multiple, for all of our teams, but I think, the Voice of College Football Clemson logo, it just looks clean. You got the colors. It just works out. Get yourself a hat, T-shirt, polo. Of course, we've got our game day mugs, tumblers, koozies, whatever you need. You guys should go ahead and check it out. We're still working on getting some of our custom merch on there. Maybe we get some BYOG or sell on there. We're still kind of workshopping that, but I think this is a phenomenal collection as it is. So y'all should go check it out. It's a great way to support the Voice of College Football Network and me and TPC here on the Clemson channel. So y'all make sure to go check that out at the link below. It's on the screen and in the description.
Absolutely. And if you guys got any ideas for merch, let us know, and we'll be sure to try to get it on the site.
Yeah.
And there might be even a little prize for you if we choose your merch idea. Maybe you get a freebie from courtesy of the Voice of College Football Clemson channel.
Yeah, Wet Sox, we're not doing that. That's not an idea. We'll be posting, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can guarantee you that idea is not getting selected.
Yeah. I guess we should have said any idea within reason, within sanity.
Yeah.
All right.
Wet Sox out here doing the most.
Yeah, he always is. That's why we love him.
That's right. That's why he's here.
All right. Let's talk about Furman, man. Obviously, this is a game that, anybody expects Clemson to, come out here and win. Furman is a team this season that's kind of been up and down in a lot of respects on both sides of the ball. And obviously coming in at 6-5, that would kind of entail that. They've been a team that hasn't really found a ton of consistency on either side of the football. But I do think they have some outstanding players that I think Clemson is going to have to, be mindful of in this football game. When we were talking about the offensive line injuries and kind of what that's going to look like, I think, I think Furman has arguably the best defensive lineman in all of FCS and Joshua Stone King.
Doesn't that dude got like 13 sacks on the season or something?
13 and a half. He's been credited for. Yeah. He's only a sophomore, by the way.
He better watch out.
Yeah.
I bet you he ain't at Furman next year.
Oh no. I mean, I certainly think I would be surprised if he doesn't test his test the markets in the transfer portal and see what he can get at the FBS level, because he is
right.
He is extremely disruptive on the edge. I'm interested to see kind of how that plays out, and what challenges he can give to this Clemson offensive line. At tackle, you're going to see, expect to see more Tristan Lee and Blake Miller, but as Clemson, subs in guys, I think you'll see a lot of different offensive line combinations on Saturday. This will be a good opportunity for the young guys and a test for those guys, because they certainly have a lot of growing to do, and they certainly don't have a lot of experience. So I'm interested to see kind of how they go about blocking this guy up, because nobody to this point has really been able to
Right.
He is a phenomenal football player. I think he's one of the finalists for FCS Defensive Player of the Year. I forget what they call the award off the top of my head, but he is a really, really good player. And I definitely expect him to be in a different uniform than the Paladins in 2026.
For
Unfortunately,
sure.
I mean, I love seeing FCS kids that ball out and stick around, but that's just not how it works nowadays. And I definitely think you'll see him at a P4 school here next year. That's just that's just how things go now. But offensively, I think this is a Furman team that has really, really been kind of up and down. They are a team that wants to run the football. They haven't had a whole lot of success, and
Yeah.
it's kind of put a lot of pressure on their quarterback. I think Trey Hedden has been pretty decent at times. I think he's actually a pretty talented football player. I mean, you look at his stats, and he's thrown 12 interceptions. But I really think all of it has to do with I think this Furman offensive line is just flat out not very good. I mean, he's been sacked 21 times this season. That is the most of any
Jeez.
quarterback in the FCS. Um, I definitely think this is a game where the Clemson defensive line, should get after it early and often, because I think they are going to struggle to block really anybody up, and they've struggled to block a lot of teams up. Um, I think when Hedden has time, he throws a really nice football, and he has some receivers that I think can make some plays. So I really think that this is a game where the defensive line should get to shine with everything that they have, all the struggles they have up front. This should be a game where you see a lot of guys eat, not just the starters, and give you opportunity to see kind of get into the depth a little bit of the defensive line and see some of the younger guys. So there's not too much that is really complicated about this football game. Like I said, I think
Yeah.
Clemson this should be a game that Clemson handles pretty comfortably. But hey, I mean, we said that a couple of years ago, and Furman, gave Clemson a little bit more than they could handle. I don't want to say more than they can handle, but a little bit more than they expected. I mean, they actually the last time
Yes.
these two teams played, Furman outgained Clemson. If you remember, that was a 35-12 win back in 2023, I want to say. Uh,
Yes.
so this is different team now. Not the same players, but I do think they have. I think if you can contain their standouts, I think you should be okay. Um, so I definitely think this is a game you'll see a lot of Clemson. Yeah, you'll see Clemson play a lot of guys as they should. I mean, this is your one true opportunity that you've had this season. Other than maybe the UNC and Boston College games, to really get a lot of guys a lot of reps, because you just
Right.
haven't had many blowout victories in games where you're comfortably in the lead. So, I mean, as long as you take care of business here, I mean, this would be an opportunity to play, a number of guys that you're going to have to rely on. You're going to be relying on and expected to take bigger roles in 2026 if you're looking ahead and thinking about the future. So. Yeah, and you have any? What do you think about this team? Do you have any thoughts about this game that have you concerned? Anything that jumps out to you? Any other players that I didn't mention?
Yeah. I mean, look, nothing really that concerns me about this game. This should be a game that Clemson, as you mentioned, handles pretty easily. Right. This Clemson front, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, should feast in this game. They should get multiple sacks in this game. At least 3 to 4 sacks, I think, come out of this game. You should have um, guys playing and kind of feeling themselves, right? It's Military Appreciation Day, which is always a big day in Clemson. They're going to be wearing the all purples, which is a great uniform. They're going to be, honoring all the seniors running down the hill. So it's going to be a great day in Clemson, and it should be a game that is pretty out of hand before the clock hits zero in the first half, right? You should see a lot of guys get a lot of depth pieces get a lot of burn this week. I'd like to see Chris Vazina get in there. I'd like to see some of the the depth pieces along the offensive line get in there. The defensive line, obviously, linebackers. Let's see what some of those guys behind Wade Woodaz and Sammy Brown have. It's going to be a big game for gauging your depth for next season, right? And seeing if those guys have made any strides since kind of spring, right? And since fall camp. So I think that's going to be a big key for this game. No disrespect to Furman, but Clemson's got no business with this game being close outside of the first quarter, right? It should get out of hand pretty quickly. We should be able to get a lot of depth pieces in. We should be able to get as many players as we want to play. You should be able to honor your seniors in a big way by pulling them all off of the field together. That's what Saturday should be for Clemson, and that's what I look for it to be. This is a Furman team that they've had their struggles this year. This is not one of their banner teams. They are going to come in. They're going to be physical. They're going to be spirited. They're going to try their best, right? But Clemson, frankly, should just out talent them early in this game, and it should be put away. So I look for a lot of the depth guys to get a lot of snaps in this game on Saturday, and then also for your seniors to be honored in the proper way. Be pulled off the field altogether and all that stuff that Clemson normally does in a very classy way, and we get to do it against Furman in the all purples, which is kind of weird. We're playing a purple team and we're wearing all purple, so it should be fun. But one of my favorite days in Clemson, I actually wanted to go to this game. I can't make it, but I wanted to go to this game, but it's one of those things where got some other stuff going on. So, but Clemson should win this one easily. We should be able to stream it here on the channel, and you guys should come hang out with us, and we'll chop it up and have a good time as we hopefully have our easiest win of the season. At least that's what it should be, Jordan. We'll see.
Yes, that's what it should be. I mean, okay, listen, like if the times, okay, if this game gets a little uncomfortable, I think it's because, I mean, honestly, like your defense, if your defense just flat out doesn't show up, I mean, yeah. I think especially if your front seven is getting home, you should be okay. Like I said, I do think Furman has a pretty. I think Trey Hedden is a pretty good quarterback. Actually, I think he's close to breaking their single season passing record. So that kind of shows that they have had to kind of throw the ball a lot because the running game has been kind of inconsistent. They ran the ball pretty well last week against VMI, but mostly on the season they haven't been very good. And they do have, like I said, they do have some receivers that can make some plays. Evan James is a true freshman kid. Their leader, he's been pretty good. He's been one of the better true freshman receivers in the FCS. I think they're also getting Jakeith Hamilton back. And if you want to feel old, they have Devin Hester Jr. I don't know if you guys know that, but yes, that is the son of Devin Hester. He is a receiver on that football team. I think he has 300 receiving yards on the year.
Am I that old, Jordan? Am I that old?
Yeah, we're all that old, man. So
sad times we live in.
Yeah. It's it really puts things into perspective, but yeah, that'll be fun to see him out there and
that'd be cool.
That can't be right. That's got to be a completely different Devin Hester, but no, that is Devin Hester's flesh and blood.
Ain't no way.
But yeah, I think you should have a lot of opportunities. And listen, Furman defensively, they have not been very good this year. Largely, they gave up 39. They gave up 39 points to Presbyterian. They gave up 52 to Western Carolina. Shout out to my brothers, soon to be alma mater. They gave up 52. I think 45 to Chattanooga. I think they gave up 52 to who was it? They gave up 52 to Western. I know they gave up 52 one other time this season. It might have been East Tennessee. So yeah, defensively they have struggled a lot.
Not good. Not good.
Yeah.
Clemson's
No,
offense,
it was Mercer. Excuse me.
Mercer.
They beat East Tennessee. It was Mercer that they gave up 52 to. Yeah, so they've given up some pretty big point totals this year. So I mean, definitely think Clemson offensively should have a lot of opportunities to hit explosive plays, and passing and running the football should be a pretty efficient day as long as you just execute the basic stuff. So it really is just kind of limiting Stone King and making sure he doesn't beat you. You should be okay. So not too much complicated about this football game. Not too much that I think you really have to overthink. Hopefully for this team, but listen, anything can happen. This team has showed that anything can happen. I mean, if the Troy game was any example, just because you're playing an inferior opponent, significantly inferior opponent in terms of talent, does not mean this team is incapable of making mistakes and looking pretty awful. So hopefully we're past that point in the season, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. It should be one of those Saturdays where you just cruise to an easy victory, and Jordan, me and you can hang out on a stream and just chop it up together and have a good time. But again, what's our motto for the 2025 Clemson Tigers? Hold my beer. That's the motto. So I don't anticipate any sort of anxiety or high blood pressure situations for us this weekend, but you never know. It is the 2025 version of the Clemson Tigers, and they love to piss us off. So we'll see.
Indeed, they do. And listen, hey, I mean, this has been a team that has broken a lot of streaks in the wrong way.
In the wrong way, yeah, in all the wrong ways.
Clemson has beaten Furman 32 straight times. So that's hey, listen, that's a streak. That's another streak that's on the line. I mean, I don't know.
You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, we'll certainly have our thoughts, and those of you that are channel members, y'all make sure to come hang out with us.
For sure, we'll be live streaming the game. So guys, make sure if you want to come hang out with us, become a channel member. Hit that join button right under this video. Select your various tier. You'll support the show on a monthly basis. Me and Jordan will greatly appreciate it, and you'll get access to that exclusive game stream content that'll be happening this Saturday for the Furman game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I think we've kind of exhausted everything we can talk about in this game. Let's go ahead and give our score predictions. I obviously do think Clemson is the better team by a significant margin. I think this is a game that you should win pretty comfortably. Wouldn't surprise me if Furman hit some plays in the passing game. I do think they have. I mean, Trey Hidden is a good quarterback, and I think they do have some good receivers, and especially when you get into your depth. Listen, wouldn't surprise me if some of the younger guys make mistakes and you give up some plays. But all in all, I definitely expect this to be pretty comfortable. I'm feeling Clemson 50, 51, Furman 14. I think that's a good number. And I think you win this game pretty comfortably, and we'll be gearing up for South Carolina here pretty soon, and talking about bowl eligibility. Yay!
Yeah, I'm gonna go Clemson 49, Furman 10. So yeah, obviously I think Clemson wins big. I don't, they're Clemson is gonna out athlete them. They're gonna out compete them. It's gonna be a landslide type victory in my opinion. I don't think Furman can keep up. This is not a great defense by any means that Clemson's going to go up against on Saturday. They should be able to get points at will. And I'll be interested to see the depth pieces. That's kind of what this sort of game, as a fan, what you're looking forward to is kind of seeing those people that the coaches have talked about all season about getting in there. This is the type of game that they get in there, and you finally get to see them get live snaps in an actual college football game. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But it's going to be a big victory by Clemson. I got 49-10 Tigers.
I like it. I like it. All right. That's gonna do it for us in terms of the planned portion. Let's go ahead and kick it off to the comment section. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Of course, if you want to make sure that your comment is read, Super Chat is available. It's up to you if you want to support the channel. But yeah, let's see what the people are talking about.
Let's do it. What you guys got? Get your guys' score predictions in the comment section too. And then any BYOG or sales that you got, get those in the comment section as well.
Yes. We will, and you know what? I think we're going to do. I think we're going to officially bring back the BYOG or sales full segment here next week. What isn't a better time to do it than the Palmetto Bowl? So
that's right. Yeah, that's a great time. That's a great time to bring it back. We got to get that on some merch, so you guys can get a hold of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Katie, 32 in a row over the Paladins. So, here's to making it 33. Don't be what that other program in the state has done before. Well, not to this particular team, but you get what I'm saying. John says, I want to see some Logan Brookings Saturday and not just on special teams. See if the hype is legit. Yeah, I mean, I think everything that I've heard about this kid is has been nothing but overwhelmingly positive. I had somebody compare him to Davis. He said the Davis Allen 2.0. So listen, hey, I'm all for Davis Allen. Y'all know how we feel about Davis Allen here. I'd take 1 million Davis Allens if I could. So if you have that, but 2.0, let's see it, man. I'm all for it. See, Dabo said he hoped to play Denson. Yeah, would be a good. I mean, this is what better opportunity than to give Chris Denson a shot here and at quarterback on this game because I mean, listen, I don't know how many opportunities he's going to get. So moving forward. So I mean, this is as good a time as any to kind of see what he's got. So we'll see.
We shall see. Hopefully we get to see him on Saturday, because if we do, that means the game is going like we expect it to go.
Yeah. Lindsay says bowl game in Boston. Hey, listen, I don't is the Fenway Bowl like still a let me check. Is that still an ACC tie-in bowl? I don't know if it is.
I think it is.
Looks like it is. Last year North Carolina went to it. They lost to UConn. It looks like
that'd be a cool bowl game to go to.
Yeah. It's still the AAC versus the ACC, so sure, why not? Michael says I'll go to the Gator Bowl, but not any bowls up north. And that's respectable, especially this time of year.
Yeah, it sucks up there this time of year.
Yeah, I get it. I wouldn't mind it though. I mean, really, at this point in the season, like I don't. And maybe you go to the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Hey, I'd probably go to that one. So. It'd be right.
Where's that bowl at?
Yeah, I wonder. So that would be a good opportunity for me. For both of us, honestly. But
yeah, I'd probably go if Clemson goes to that bowl game, I'll probably go to that one. Honestly.
Yeah, we could do an all-in show.
Yes.
At Duke's Mayo Bowl. We'll eat some. We'll eat
Duke's
some Mayo themed treats.
Yeah. Not just mayo. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. But
No,
we can eat some stuff with mayo in it. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Definitely. Katie Jones, BYOG or sell? I just lost it. BYOG or sell? Clemson rushes for 300. Ooh, I'm selling.
I'm selling.
I'm selling. That's pretty ambitious. I mean, and given the comments of none other than your offensive coordinator this week, talking about balance, I expect to totally see the opposite, and I expect to see Clemson throw the ball a ton. So,
I don't think Garrett Riley could ever commit to the run long enough to rush for 300 yards against anyone.
I think that's.
I'm just being completely honest. There's no way Clemson rushes for 300 yards against anybody because Garrett Riley refuses to commit to the run for that long. He'll do it for a half. He'll do it for a quarter. He'll do it in spurts. But as far as an entire game committing to the run, never going to happen.
John says, you guys think about bringing on some reps from the more successful ACC teams as postseason years, like Coach Coop for the Canes? I mean, that's an idea.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
We could do that for sure.
Y'all let us know. I mean, y'all want us to bring on more guests. I think that's, I'm down.
Let us know who you want to see. And we will do our best to try to get them on.
Yep. David says, Clemson 45, Furman 17. Hope to have an easy sighting in this game. Yeah, here's to hoping.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Hey, we might have an easy E and a hammerhead sighting in this game. Who knows?
Wow, getting real bold, getting real.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah.
But that would require running the football, and
that would. Indeed.
We all know who our offensive coordinator is.
Yeah. So Pop-Tart is off the table. Yeah, that's off the table. Yeah. Pop-Tart goes to the best non-playoff ACC team, and Clemson will not be that.
It's going to be the first out. The playoffs for the ACC, and Clemson is far from that. Team. The Pop-Tart Bowl may wish Clemson was going there, but they're not going to get that opportunity.
Yeah, no.
Clemson travels really well, and they bring a lot of eyes. So obviously the Pop-Tart Bowl would love to have them, but they're not going to get that chance to take them.
No. I do not want to see Dabo get mayo dumped. Just no. Mayo is disgusting. I like mayo, but I don't like it enough to.
Yeah, I like mayo in stuff.
Yeah.
As an ingredient.
Yes.
But these people just squirting mayo in their mouth and dumping it. Yeah, no, I'm out. I can't do that.
We're good on that.
Yeah, something's wrong with them people. I don't know what's wrong with them, but something's wrong with them.
Else can say dirt raid means only rush 15 times a game, right?
Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to the dirt raid. I guess it died with that press conference. I don't know.
It was a dirt raid in 2023. Maybe the Unions got too dirty, so he lightened up in 24 and even more in 25. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I mean, I do think there is obviously that was in jest, but I do think there is a real kind of reason why we've seen the run to pass get more and more towards the pass than we thought we were getting. I mean, I do think the the recruiting, the additions of the wide receivers you've had has been kind of a blessing and a curse from that aspect, because I do think like
Yeah.
now you're overly reliant on the pass, and you can't run the football. I mean, it's the best offensive coordinators know how to truly balance and make sure that they're still emphasizing running the football and making sure they can do that well, but also having that threat of beating you over the top. But now this is a team that just seems like if they're not throwing the ball well, they don't really have an answer, and
Right.
that's not good in year 3. It's not good at all. John says BYOG or sell. Clemson will throw to some tall guy somewhere in the end zone versus Furman. Finally, some tall guy. I mean, there's some candidates. I'm not sure how happy the fan base will be to see a couple of them, or maybe one of them in particular. But there's one I'm thinking of that we might see you get that opportunity again. That the jokes will write themselves.
Yeah. I think he's been at Clemson a while too. I don't know.
Yeah, he certainly has. Michael says Riley loses a piece of his soul every time he runs a call.
It certainly seems that way. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's like he's got to pay out of pocket every time he calls a run play.
Yeah. His game check it drops ever so slightly every time he runs.
Every time he runs the football.
Funny stuff, man. I believe Sonny Dykes kept the Dirt Raid playbook with him. I mean, I do think there is something to be said about obviously Garrett Riley never really having much of of a footprint outside of coaches who already were respected offensive minds. Maybe that was something we should have emphasized and talked about more when he was hired. Obviously hindsight is 2020, because we both got on here and celebrated the hire when it was made. I remember, when we got the news, I was at a gas station in Seneca or whatever, and we just hopped on there. Hopped on live immediately and talked about it. But like, I
thought it was a home run hire.
Yeah,
I thought it.
So did I.
I didn't think Clemson could have made a better hire at offensive coordinator when it first happened. I was excited, looking forward to his tenure at Clemson. The only thing I was worried about was, would he be here long enough to kind of change the tide at Clemson offensively? And now here we sit, and for a large portion of the fan base, they can't wait until we turn the page and get a different offensive coordinator in here. So didn't turn out like we all thought.
No.
So just goes to show you there are no surefire hires out there.
No.
Because at the time when Clemson hired Garrett Riley, it wasn't just Clemson fans. All of college football thought that was a great hire. And ultimately it has turned out not to be.
Yep. I mean, he was the biggest name in the sport in that cycle in terms of coordinators. Like I mean, obviously winning the Broyles Award will do that, but hey, listen, it's not the first time we've seen guys go and flame out at other places. Guys win the Broyles and then flame out at other places. I mean, you guys remember Josh Gaddis? He won the Broyles, with Michigan, and then he goes down to Miami, and they can't get a first down. I mean, there's, that's the reality of the sport. I mean, sometimes you think you have a guy, but you don't really know until that he gets here, and you actually see him, in game, coach and call plays. And at least as of now, doesn't look like this experiment is going to work out. You're in year 3 and the offense is struggling. Your quarterback has somehow taken a step back from last season, a significant step back from last season. You can't run the football. And listen, I don't think this is all Garrett Riley's fault. I do think there is the makings of a good offensive coordinator in there somewhere. I don't think this is like I don't want this to be like a pile on Garrett Riley. He's the problem type of thing, because I do think he is a symptom of other issues as well. But like it's clear he doesn't have the feel for this that we all hoped he would. And just the sample size we have at this point, it's pretty clear that this is not working. So we'll see. Obviously I don't expect any sort of changes to be made right now.
Nope. It'll happen after the season.
Yeah.
And we'll see how many changes are made then.
Yep. So, that's my Garrett Riley thing. I mean, I hate that it worked out this way, and sometimes Dabo went and did what we all wanted to win and got a guy from the outside, and it didn't work out. But that's the risk you run every time you do it. I mean, that's just the nature of hiring anybody. You don't truly know.
Yeah, you never know if it's going to work out. But I'm all for what he did. He went and got one of the the biggest names in the business at the time. And I hope this offseason he does the same and gets one of the biggest names in the business, a proven offensive coordinator that can come in and get this offense rolling, because we got a lot of talent, but we need somebody to kind of unlock it, and that has not happened.
No, it has not. TCU played a lot of their games pretty close, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I mean they certainly did that season. They were very good offensively, but I mean, Max Duggan was great. You had Quentin Johnston and what was that back? They had a 1,000-yard back. I want to say it was Keontae something. They had a lot of they had some guys that could play. So that's. And obviously, Sonny Dykes was your head coach, so that certainly played a huge part as well. So I mean, it's tough to say, just how much of that was Riley at the end of the day, but is what it is. John says, "I wonder if we see a new OC quarterback that may come as a package, like Arroyo and Levitt." Yeah, that maybe. I think I don't know how successful you would be if you're a an offensive coordinator and you're tying your name to a quarterback. I mean, listen, Sam Levitt has a lot of talent. He's certainly not played up to it like a lot of quarterbacks this season. But I don't know if, like, as a career move, do you want to tie your do you want to hitch your wagon to really to any player, any one player? I don't know if that's, unless you really feel like you and that quarterback have a really good connection and you feel like things can work out. Like, I don't know, because I mean that'd be tough.
My only thing with that kind of stuff is, like, what happens when that guy graduates?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I'm not a big fan of OCs tied to quarterbacks. Like, I know it works, but I think that's a very short-term solution for a long-term problem.
Yeah.
I think you need an offensive coordinator that can, have a system and recruit the guy that can run his system over and over again. Because in college, this is not the NFL. You're not going to have a quarterback for 15 years. You're going to have a quarterback for, 3, maybe 4 years at the most. So you got to be able to recruit that guy over and over again. So, I'm not the biggest fan of the OCs tied to the quarterback type deals, but, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, if Clemson makes a change at offensive coordinator, and if they do, what direction Dabo Swinney's going to go.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's very few quarterbacks that are worth doing that for. Like, if I'm an offensive coordinator, like the play, this has got to be a general. Like, I don't want to even. I mean, he's got to be elite. Like, for me to feel like, okay, I have to work with this kid. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, I know I'm going to succeed with him at quarterback. If I have him as my quarterback, I'm going where
Right.
he goes, or he's going where I go. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it happens, but just it doesn't always work out the way we all think. And in Sam Levitt's case, it's been really strange because they've been basically publicly shopping him around while he's still at Arizona State. Like, it's like pretty clear he's going to enter the portal this offseason. So,
Yeah.
it's weird. I don't think Sam Levitt is good enough to be doing all that, but to each their own.
Yeah.
Let's see. Michael says no team that runs the air raid has ever won the Natty. Yeah, I mean, we don't have a large sample size. I mean, compared to other schemes. I mean, the air raid as we currently understand it, it was developed around the last 30 or so years. And you haven't seen a lot of teams with enough talent to win, run an air raid system. So, I do think there's a little bit of confirmation bias there because you just, or not confirmation bias, but like poisoning the well here because, you don't have that big of a sample size of teams that actually run a true air raid. And certainly not enough teams that at the higher level of FBS football that are running it, that where you have a true gauge of whether or not it could be successful. Now, I will say this, like my thoughts on the air raid as a system, and I mean, obviously there's variations. Garrett Riley's air raid is different from other air raids. It's not the same as like Mike Leach's or anybody else you can think of. Like, but I think one thing that's made it clear is like it's not an offense built to be a true line of scrimmage oriented offense where you're pounding the rock, where you're winning up front. You have movers on the offensive line. Like, that's just you're not. It's a very much a finesse style of offense. And you're when you do run the football, you're blocking to create angles and holes, but you're not like just flat out displacing people. And I think that's been clear throughout the last few years that this offense is not built to be a super physical type of scheme. It just isn't. And when you have a physical advantage like Clemson should have, against some of the inferior teams they play, I mean, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice by not sometimes just letting the guy just be bigger, more physical, stronger than the other player. So, I don't know. That's one of those things. I don't necessarily believe that the air raid can't win a natty. I know you didn't say that, but I certainly think this is not the scheme that Clemson needs to.
I don't think it suits. I don't think the air raid suits Clemson's best. I like the zone run schemes, and that kind of stuff, and it's just, I don't know. I think we tried it, and it's not what's best for the Tigers. So I think a new scheme is in order this offseason.
Yeah. John says, I would bet Dabo will make most changes before signing and before the portal opens. That's not a hard guess to me. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a good time to do it, certainly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sooner rather than later after, you play South Carolina is what'll be best.
Mhm. David says, maybe we can get Jerry Kill to come in as a special assistant in any offensive capacity he desires. Hey, listen, I'm a big Jerry Kill guy. I mean, so I listen. I wouldn't be against it. I think he's a pretty phenomenal coach. He's done a lot of good things at some really tough places to win. So
Yeah. What I don't want for Clemson, as Clemson, is probably going to make some staff changes here. We expect a change at offensive coordinator. I don't want a guy that hasn't called plays before. I don't want a guy that is cutting his teeth calling plays, and that goes for one of Clemson fans' favorites and one of the most popular names you hear, Jeff Scott. No,
yeah.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I want no part of Jeff Scott being an offensive coordinator. And look, I know he was here for some of the best times that there was to be a Clemson Tiger and a fan, but he's never called plays before, and that's just like,
At least not extensively.
yeah. I mean, it's look,
Yeah.
no, no, like Clemson is a place where you should be able to pluck one of the best offensive coordinators in the country to be your offensive coordinator, and that's what I want. So, and that goes for every position group. I'm not. I want experienced coaches. I want coaches that know exactly what they're doing, that can develop talent, that can recruit. And as much as Clemson fans love Jeff Scott, and I do as well, he's not the answer at offensive coordinator. Nor do I think he wants to be in coaching. I mean,
At least not currently.
I don't think he has a desire to coach. At least not right now. And if he does, I'm more than happy to have him back, but not as offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I had to throw that out there. I keep seeing that name thrown out there so much. And
I'm with you. I mean, go get somebody.
1,000% against it.
Yeah.
No thanks.
I also won't be surprised if Garrett Riley quickly lands an OC role somewhere. There are so many coaches that will be moving around. There will be a lot of spots, not just P4, but G5 OC slots backfield. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any doubt that Garrett Riley would land on his feet if Clemson does make a change. Like, I'm not.
He'll get a job, no doubt about it. He'll get a job. He's just not the right fit for Clemson. I'm not saying he's terrible or he can't have success, but he's just not the right fit for Clemson. So we need to move on.
I want an OC that uses motions to cause mass confusion on the defense to help the quarterback get pre-snap reads. I mean, I think certainly, I certainly think that Clemson has tried. I think, but I don't think they're very. I don't think they're very creative with it, and I don't think it's been as much help as they probably hoped it would. They've certainly tried to incorporate it more, but it's certainly not been. It certainly hasn't been great. But yeah, I mean, I do think like you want a guy that is about creating, making things easier on the quarterback and forcing the defense to tell itself and declare before the snap. I mean, ideally. So. Yeah, that certainly needs to be part of what they look for. David says, I read Ed Orgeron was interested in coaching again and would consider a D-line position. Don't think he would be the best fit here.
I don't.
Just being honest.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. I don't think Dabo and Ed Orgeron are two people that would mesh very well.
Yeah, no. I think that would be kind of
Not that
problematic.
not that he's not a good defensive line coach. I'm sure he is, but he ain't coming to Clemson. That's for sure.
No. No. That's begging for. I won't even get into it.
Oh Lord. Oh man. Yeah, that's like oil and water right there. Ain't no
Yeah.
way.
John says, "What about Mike Shula?" Okay. All right.
Here we go.
I should time you out for that, but I can't. All right. Katie says, BYG or sell 2018, we wouldn't have won the Natty with Garrett Riley's offense. Ooh. I mean, it's I don't know, man. It's hard to mess up that offense. It's really hard to mess up that offense. I think they could. I don't.
I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
Buy it.
I'll buy it that they would not have won it how they did.
Yeah.
They out-physicaled, they dominated, and that would have not been the case with a Garrett Riley coached offense.
Yeah.
And with a Nick Saban coached defense, I think you're right. I think I'm gonna buy it. I don't think they would have won.
Yeah, I mean,
just from a physical aspect.
I certainly think Travis Etienne has a statistically less of a season, which, yeah, I mean that would certainly play a role. I mean, you know what I'll buy, because Garrett Riley is not calling a game to beat Syracuse that year. No, he's not. No. He's not giving the ball to Travis in that situation, that as often as they did. And yeah. Chase Bryce would have finished with 40 pass attempts by the end of the game.
Yeah, Katie hit it. Yeah, definitely not undefeated. You'd have lost a game. Yeah, I'm buying that. I don't think you would have won it.
Yeah.
Clemson played a more physical brand of football then.
Yeah, I mean, and even then, it wasn't even like they were like they weren't even mauling folks up front. That offensive line was just, I mean, they were good, they were experienced, and they still, they committed to running the football in games where when they had success running the football, they ran the football, and that's how you get Travis Etienne, over 8 yards a carry and 1,600 yards, however many touchdowns he finished with, phenomenal season, one of the best running backs in college football that year.
Absolutely.
So I mean, yeah, I don't think he has that kind of season. Trevor certainly might have benefited statistically, maybe just in terms of pass attempts and the like, but and in yards, but yeah, it certainly would have been less balanced, and in the situations where oh man, I mean, shoot, even like A&M.
Yep.
How does that game play out with Garrett Riley calling plays? Yeah. The more I think about it, I'm like, ugh.
We might not even have been in the national championship.
Yeah.
Much less won it.
So. Right. Web Sox, if GR gets fired, would players follow him?
No.
I wouldn't. I don't think so. I don't think there's anybody hitched to Garrett Riley that strongly. That.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I could be wrong, but as far as I know, I would guess not. And I think you'll have players leave on offense, but not because of hypothetically Garrett Riley getting fired. Like that, these kids were planning on leaving anyway. Like that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of situation I think would play out there. All right, let's do a couple more, and then we'll get on out of here for tonight. Jeff Scott says, yeah, likes doing real estate. I'm sure he's done with coaching. Yeah, I mean, he is very comfortable right now.
He's doing just fine.
Yeah. Westlaw says the only legit potential I've heard is from Priester, who said Tate is a big fan of Garrett Riley. Yeah, I think so, but I don't know if you let go of Garrett Riley, I think Tate Run. I don't really think Tate Reynolds decommits. I think he's pretty. I think he's pretty bought in at this point. But hey, listen, you never know. Like I said, you never know. I should stop saying things like that because you never know. But as far as I can tell, you're not in any real danger there. At least not now. Yeah, Edo would fit with Belichick. Yeah, that'd be something.
That would be.
Yeah, those position meetings would be something, man. Well, shoot. I don't trust Ed Orgeron on a college campus anymore, knowing how he moves. So
nah, bro, nah, nah.
I don't know if he's a good fit anywhere.
Yeah, he can't. He can't come to Clemson. No. But he would fit in with Belichick. I mean, they would.
They have a lot in common.
They do have a lot in common. Everybody can figure it out for themselves.
Yeah.
They got a lot in common.
All right.
God.
Yeah. All right. I think we'll leave it there.
Let's go ahead and end it right there.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, we had to move the show today because of a schedule conflict. So appreciate each and every one of you for working with us and being patient with us. And we'll be back to our regularly scheduled Tuesday nights. We should be next week. But
absolutely.
Until then, we'll see you guys on Saturday for the post-game show. My channel members, we'll see you during the game. Y'all make sure, and those of you that want to have access to the live, the watch along, y'all go ahead and sign up and join the channel. Any tier you want gets you access to it, and it's a great way to support the channel. So if that's something that interests you, hit that join button down below in the description. But that's it for us. Until then, I'm Jordan Bowman. He's Tiger Paul Craven. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.